e4, e5, knight f3, knight c6, bishop b5. Okay, so we have Ruy Lopez. This is good so far. Bishop c5. And then after this, you said you don't know which theory about bishop c5. After castle should be good. I have in mind to gain tempo on this bishop after I play d4 quickly, but it did not happen. Okay, so maybe you're frustrated that you didn't get to play d4 quickly, like you just castled right, and then you can't play d4, so then you had to play c3 to prepare for it, but it's just a different move order. You could try c3 right now, and this might make the game a little more complicated because you didn't castle yet if you're not used to these lines, but I definitely recommend practicing this style too, because it leaves you open to more possibilities and you get to go for the plan that you wanted. Like if you feel more comfortable with this kind of plan, then I definitely recommend this for you. Then maybe knight would come here, then you could go d4, and then we'll have to look at two things. Bishop goes back to b6 or e take d4. So if bishop goes back, we could take the knight. And then he takes and take the pawn. Then knight probably can't take this because we have queen g4, which threatens taking g7 or the knight. And this looks really strong. So I think you're temporarily up a pawn. Let's see what the engine says about this. So it says to even push away the knight. And then this is even giving us more pawns as white. See? So even if knight takes it and you just castle, you're still up a clean pawn here, right? So you have 4, 7, and he only has 3, 4, 5, 6 pawns. And look at your pawns. You have nice, you only have like these two groups of pawns, whereas black has to deal with 3 groups. And usually the more isolated groups you have, the weaker your structure is overall. So white's pawn structure is a lot more favorable here. So yeah, you might run into this if you play this way. And the other move is just take. And then here it says to push it. I've also played this before, I think. And then it's even. And you have to block with the knight, I think. It's with the bishop. Castle. The only thing is, it's not really a weakness to have this isolated so much, but if you know how to defend it well and use it, so the game is still even, but it might be tricky for you if you're not comfortable with this. But I still recommend this. This is still pretty nice too. Let's look at it with knight here instead. Let's say he takes it. Then you could just castle. Takes. And you're pretty much even. And then you get to work with a pretty open game compared to the closed Ruy Lopez position. So if you like open games, this would be a good idea to play this way first with the c3 before castling and then going d4. Because then you can go into open positions. So let's go back. We'll just follow how the game went. Then okay, after a6, I'll turn the engine off so I don't rely on it too. Bishop could take, and then b take, and then you go to d4 too. So if you wanted to, you didn't have to play bishop to a4 and then go back down. So this is possible too. It's like just because theory says it's good to always shuffle a bishop back in the roue, but there's also lots of exchange variations with the bishop, and this is also good for getting the quick d4 move that you wanted to get. So, okay, but he went down after, so you went back, he went down, and then you went bishop to b3. I like b3. There's some good tactics. So eventually maybe something on bishop to d5 would happen. His knight's weak here. And then I noticed later you said that your e4 pawn looks weak and you wanted to defend it with like c3 or the bishop here. But you won't need to do that, and we'll show you why in a minute. Okay, so now he's knight to f6. Then you went back down. So you moved your bishop 2 times. And that's not necessary. You don't want to move the same piece multiple times, because you have an opportunity to make another move to develop something new, right? So you want to develop something new when you have the chance. So let's just say you did anything else. Like let's just say you push this pawn here. So it doesn't really matter what you do. If black takes this, look at what's happening here. You could put your bishop d5, and you could pick up one of the knights. So you don't have to even worry about defending the e4 pawn, because this bishop indirectly attacks both the knights. So I really like this position. It's a little tricky. Black might fall for it too. So you should leave this option open of how your bishop's actually really strong here. And then let's look at something else too. So you went here. Let's go for back. Right, okay. So now we're here. Even here you could do d4. So d4 would be the strongest move here. Because like I said, you don't need to defend this e4 pawn. And you have this if that happened. Also, you're attacking the bishop here, so you're gaining a tempo on the bishop like you wanted to get earlier too. Bishop would go back probably. Yeah, so the a4 pawn and breaking this open at some point. Okay. So you went back down to defend. Okay, castle. And then you played d3. I guess you wanted to free your bishop out. And that's good too. But I just feel your moves are too slow. Like you're spending multiple moves to defend something you didn't need to defend. Rook. Bishop to e3. Okay, and then here after the bishop takes e3, you're going to double your pawns. This position is not bad because your pawn's taking towards the center, which could give you stronger pawn structure overall, but it still doubles your pawns, and it might make a weakness later if you don't use it correctly. So this is just this kind of move is good for if you know the structure well and you're able to find the structure, but I don't know if I'd recommend this as a main move here, like just because it's going to change your pawn structure in a different way that if you're not used to it, you might have just tried to maybe go to bishop g5 and knight here. Just try to develop normally first so you get a feel for what it's like to play with a good normal development and stuff, instead of having to defend an isolated pawn or something. Okay, so this is isolated now. So you wanted to exchange the dark square bishop. It's quite annoying. I mean, it does have some pressure against your king, but your rook's defending this right now, and his knight can't really, even if his knight goes here, I mean, only if you were to blunder and move your rook here, then you'd be in trouble, right? But you could always kick the knight back if you needed to, and it's just not something that you need to need to fear, or you don't need to get into the mentality of trying to trade off pieces just because um, it looks a little scary. It's not a huge threat at this moment. But I understand where you're coming from, though. I understand. Okay, so we did this. Okay, I like this. And your development's almost like pretty much complete. Also, because he wants to go, maybe go c5 or something. Okay. Oh, he's shuffling his knight around. Okay, that's good. I've seen this before too. The more you, like when you started to push this pawn forward, this pawn gets, just stays here. And then it feels like it's getting weaker and weaker the further away any like pawn that's parallel to it gets away from it, then it feels like it's getting weaker. Because then you don't have, then this line if the queen was here, it just feels like you wouldn't have a block anymore or something. So this is getting more and more isolated, but it's not something major black could take advantage of immediately. Temporarily guards some squares. It's okay. Here, okay. Instead of opening this up, you're opening your whole entire center up and weakening everything. You should just go b3. Even if if c takes d5, then you could take, and then you have this structure locked in like this. See, look. Then you have what you wanted to go for, right? Like you have a strong pawn here. It's pretty strong, and you have more space. You have more space in the center this way. But when you took on c6, you just gave black the center. Again, his bishop is much better than mine. Yeah, I agree. Can we push his bishop around first? Maybe a4? Because his bishop, I mean, you could take with knight maybe, or you could push b3 then. So a4, bishop c4, b3. Then he's forced to go back here, right? Right now his bishop looks strong because it's on this axis right here. I mean, it's on this diagonal. But you could push it to weaker squares, right? So instead of just trying to get rid of your pieces, when you have like if you just exchange pieces right now, if we went to the end game and we only had like the kings or something like that, black's I mean, it'd be almost equal, but I don't like how your pawns are doubled here. So I don't know if exchanging right now is probably a good idea. And see, like I was talking about earlier, the queen's on this diagonal right now, and this might become a weakness, right? Also, there's ideas like you could bring the knight down because you can't take it. Wanted to prevent knight g4. Okay, so yeah, you see that you don't want. But how does this prevent? Oh, this knight g4. All right. Okay. For a little while, I've been dreaming to get this knight to d5, but I never managed to find the time. Oh, getting the knight to d5. Oh, I see. So you're trying to reroute it to get to d5, but even though it's one move, you're still locking in your rook, and this is pretty critical in this kind of position. Black could like stop you pretty easily from getting there, and black is a free move too. So you're underdeveloping to try it. So if you're gonna underdevelop to try to develop, you're gonna have to counter the fact that black's gonna have certain attacks against you too. So you went here, then black got this in, and this is like really powerful. You can't take it, and you're losing some squares, and the rook has this access too. And you don't have a rook to work with right now, right? So, I mean, you only have this rook, and he has two rooks. So black is probably gained another like 2 pawns in evaluation here or something, just because black has so many more pieces to work with, and he has more space on your side of the board now. Going here, I mean, there's not too many good spaces. You probably want to stay on this axis here, but it's really hard to play as white here. Okay, so we'll just look at what happened. Okay, knight takes, knight here, and here, black could just trade off. Black's comfortable. He's in the lead now. He has 6 pawns. You have 5 pawns, and just a much better attack. Your king's position's a lot weaker too because of this pawn earlier. Like when you went this way with your pawn, you had to deal with you're gonna have to deal with a weaker king position because of that. So when earlier you wanted to exchange these bishops here, it weakened your position in the long run, right? And you only have these 2 pawns in front of your king, and black has these 3. So as you can see, like black's king safety is a lot better than your king safety here. So you probably don't want to exchange any more pieces like this. You could have put your knight here temporarily. Even though it's on the flank, it's not like knights on rims or grim or something, or they're not that good on the rim, but at least you're not exchanging pieces immediately. Okay. Then it's kind of hard to defend this, right? I mean, maybe you could have gone here, right? I don't know. Oh no, then you lose this pawn, so you can't. It's too hard, and this knight is taking this square away for your king, so you couldn't use your king to go here and then go here or something. So, yeah, it's really hard to play this fight. It's pretty much game over almost, right? Takes. And this is a really good move by black. So black found the right way to take advantage of the position. Takes. And you have no choice. Okay, and then this is where black blundered. You could have just taken his queen right here. So if you would have seen this move, you would be back in the game. So unless you misclicked where the queen went or something when you were making this. So otherwise black blundered if black went here, which you showed black did. And then you went here with the king, so you missed it unfortunately. But if you would have seen this blunder, you could have made a comeback.